You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cutting the Curd on the Heritage Radio Network. I am your host, Joe Salonia. Our next guest is a British-born former emergency medical service worker who made the transition to the cheese world in 2019. He was a cheesemonger in New York until 2022, and he and his wife then opened their own cheese shop down in North Carolina, where they're now expanding into a brand new bespoke space in Carborough, which will feature a full-service shop and the area's first cheese bar. Please welcome to the show, Stevie Lee Webb. Stevie, thank you for joining us today.
Joe, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's lovely to be here. Quite the honor, sir.
Dude, it is such a pleasure to have you here on Cutting the Curd. Have you ever been on this podcast or a cheese podcast of any kind before?
No, this is a first for me. It's really great to talk to you, mate. It really is. First cheese podcast for me. A couple of other podcasts, but this is the first one dealing with the curd.
All right. So let's get chatting about you. So from what I can sense, 2025 is shaping up to be a big year for you. And you're in the middle of a renovation, a brand new cheese shop and cheese bar build out. But before we get too far into that, can you have an interesting journey that got you to this point? You went from working in emergency medical services, but before that you were in radio. But then somehow you became a cheesemonger.
I know
so,
it is quite the journey, really.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
From all the way back in, I mean, you said it yourself, British-born, although the vast majority of people listen to my accent here and think that I'm Australian for some reason.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
What
do they know?
Irwin sounds like an Australian. Crocodile Dundee sounds like an Australian, but,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, your Welsh accent is downright charming. I mean, it's like a cozy pub by a sea, or a bard telling tales over a pint.
Yes, absolutely. In Cardigan Bay or some such.
I love it. Yeah.
But back in Britain, the funny thing is, I was born in London, then grew up in Scotland, and so I had to develop various regional accents to fit in wherever I happened to be.
Well, dang, you got yourself, quite a little patch there for your quilt working in New York, because accents are like terroir, right? But they're but for voices, right? I mean, would you say?
Absolutely. Each accent is very dependent on the land of the country. As well, the same way that you have with cheese, and the same way that you have with wine. But yeah, I started all the way back in Britain, doing radio shows. In fact, as a producer, and then when I moved to America in 2006, I believe it was, I was doing like comedy and drama and stuff back in Britain. And when I moved to America, I moved to the Washington D.C. area, and my wife then said, "You're going to be working in politics one way or the other in political radio." And I was like, "No way, not me, certainly not." What did I end up doing? 8 years of political talk radio. And I also did bits of TV at that time as well. So I worked in progressive talk radio and home and garden television, the two things in the world that I know the least and also care the least about.
So that wouldn't be your category for Jeopardy then at this point? No? No? You'd skip it? But I'm just stuck with a dreaded New Jersey accent. There's so many U.S. accents, and I don't know. Maybe my favorite is I don't know. Maybe because it seems to be like a very feisty accent, like the Boston accent, because they're just so wicked smart, or I don't know.
Wicked smart,
wicked smart, But in the cheese business, we're in front of such a broad audience, right? It seems like I don't know, accents in cheese shops or in the food business are a little bit neutralized, or maybe my New Jersey accent, because I got made fun of so much, in like cooking school and in restaurants, it it got polished a little bit, like it's like a little rough stone. It gets polished, and because you're talking to people from all over the world, you kind of it becomes a little less so. But sometimes it comes out pretty sharply when I say like potatoes or tomatoes, right? Or I ask someone if they're hungry, which is it's one word, by the way. It's spelled Jeet. It's Jeet means you want food. Like that's New Jersey.
I love that. That's excellent. In Britain,
Yeah.
we call those accents, which you can't define anymore, received pronunciation.
Oh,
They would
okay.
do it on the BBC all the time. If you ever saw a BBC newsreader, they would always talk exactly like that, and there would be no regional accents whatsoever. Welcome to the BBC. The same way that you would have with British Airways, airline pilots, things like that.
Mhm.
Elle, who you'll hear plenty about later, is from Long Island, and so she developed her own received pronunciation accent, where it's beautifully neutral, but there are still certain words, or in her case, particularly word, which every time she says it, she can't say it any other way than the Long Island way, than the West Islip way, which is draw.
Draw like the
Draw.
like a drawer, like the things you keep things in, like a drawer in a dresser.
Exactly. Exactly.
Drawer. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, that might be up there with water. 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 Water.
Water.
I mean, yeah. So that's
Water is one of the hardest words for me to get across in, let's call it, the American language.
yeah. I
If
thought
I
bottle of water. Bottle of water.
but bottle of water,
There you go.
North London, bottle of water. If I was to go through a drive-through or something and say in this country, hey, I'll have the cheeseburger with the fries, and if I said bottle of water, I would have to say bottle of water.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I really had to
Yeah.
Americanize.
But I can't drink a water with a cheeseburger and fry. I have to have a sweet drink.
Right.
There's something about the combination. But this sounds like its own show. Like maybe we'll have you back on for accents. But let's get back to the shop you're about to open. But even
Yes,
before that, first tell us how you open. You have a current shop. You have a cheese shop. So this
we
yeah.
do.
So
I'll
yeah.
tell you.
Yeah,
This
is this your
is
first
great.
shop? Like, how did this open? Is it your first shop? Is it the first business of cheese that you've opened? Is it the one you have? Tell us.
Yes, indeed it is. So the story behind it, it's a long one, but it's a good one. I'll give you the cliff notes. Back when I was a paramedic in New York City, uh, I did that for 10 years. Well, I did that for 10 years in this country and overseas and all around the country in various different modes of transportation. Um, but it was such a high stress and high hours and a generally difficult job that in order to keep my sanity, one day a week, I needed to do something completely different. And so I applied out of the blue to be a cheesemonger at a shop called the Green Grape in Brooklyn. It was a beautiful little
Yeah,
fancy grocery store with one of the best independent cheese counters in the entire city.
yeah,
Um,
we know the Green Grape. What year are we talking about here?
that would have been 2018, 19.
Okay,
There,
so that's about the
thereabouts.
time our friend Amelia, shout out to Amelia, might have been
Our
the
wonderful
head.
mutual friend. Yes.
Yeah,
She
and
was the governor there, and she was one of the people that
the
really
governor.
inspired me,
Uh
and
huh.
I learned a lot from. Um, so when I was there, it was my favorite day of the week by far.
Uh huh.
When people would call you up and say, "Hey, do you want to work? Can you come in early? Can you stay late? Can you do an extra shift?" That was the one where I go, "Absolutely, I would."
Wow.
No, it was the best day of the week. It was Michelle's favorite day of the week as well because I came home happy. Nobody died. It was brilliant. No one
Oh
crashed
wow.
head first
Right.
into the cheese case. No one tried to start a fight with me. All I did was give people nice bits of cheese, which I could then talk all excitedly about and see the instant reaction on their face. And I don't think there's any other food that you can do that with.
I love that. And
That's
let's just make sure that in case somebody just dropped in and fast forwarded around to the 10-minute mark, that when you said no one died and no one fought with you, it's because you're referring to the emergency, your normal job at the time, or your
but
full-time
that's
job at
just
the time
kind of
was
the thing
emergency
that
medical
happens in
service
life.
worker,
It's
right?
just a daily occurrence for me. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
As a paramedic, it was cardiac arrests and
Oh,
angry drunks, 12 hours a day. So to
ay,
have
ay.
to be able to give people something that would put an immediate smile on their face was just a delightful breath of fresh air.
I mean, I gotta say, I think part of the reason I got into cheese is because it is a rather inducing type of activity to just explore and eat cheese. Like first experience is eating cheese. If you just were, your first cheese cart experience, if you're able to have one of those or a tasting it, it's quite dreamy if everybody just stop for a second and reflect. It's probably why anybody listening to the show decided to get farther into it because it probably was an incredible, you know, life shifting serotonin type experience. Um,
Absolutely. You said exactly the right word there as well, experience.
yeah,
It's not just eating, and this is the ethos that we go by in the shop as well. This is what I always tell people, particularly with cheese, and going to a cheese shop, is it's not going shopping. It's an experience, or if you're doing it right, it should be. Um, where else are you going to have a food situation where someone's going to take 5, 10, maybe 20 minutes to go through the options with you and discuss them with you and have a whole conversation about it where people actually genuinely want to find out what you like and what you don't like and be your sort of guide on this wonderful tour into the world of something that really does bring happiness and joy. You're there at the cheese shop because you like cheese, so
yeah,
you're gonna
yeah. And an experience and a shared thought or a shared mindset is it's kind of like this loop. It's all one, and that to me, I hope never goes away in cheese shops. And I know this is a real thing because there's so many times I'll like say I show up for a tasting in a store, and before I can get the cheese ready to taste, I may be like setting up a table or saying hello, just getting there. And I can't stop myself. I'll be like, "Oh, you should try this one here because of blah blah blah," and they'll buy it based on just words, just
Yep.
on words. They didn't even taste it. That's it.
That's
That's
because
enough
you
for them.
particularly, Joe, show are one of the most passionate people I know in the business and for your product. So when people hear how passionate that you are about what you're selling and what you're doing, they get passionate about it as well. And then if you're selling it to them, they're going to take it to maybe they're just going to go home and eat it. Maybe they're going to take it to a party or an event or something like that. And then they share the stories and they get excited about it too. So it's this wonderful sort of symbiotic relationship that people have.
Well, thank you, Stevie. But I'm talking still. Sometimes I do this with like a jar of Amarena cherries. Like it could be. I just love talking about food I like to eat. It's sometimes, yeah, cheese I actually represent, but like I'm talking about sometimes where I'll talk to someone into taking why they should take mini toasts home.
Yeah,
Like like I just I
yeah.
don't know. I like I just I love our business. But enough about me. This isn't about me. The show's not about me. So you're at the Green Grape, 2018-19, and were you there through the pandemic hit, or did you happen to because you moved to North Carolina at some point?
That's right.
When did that happen?
So COVID hit. I was working at the Green Grape, and I was still a paramedic at the same time. And
Whoa! Wow. Okay.
our first son happened to be born uh, basically as the hammer of COVID came down on New York City. Uh,
Hey.
to the point where it was the week in New York where they closed all the labor and deliveries to anybody who wasn't the person giving birth. So I ended up missing. I ended up missing Henry's birth. I missed the first hello, which was awful. I was a paramedic for that hospital as well. They still wouldn't let me in. And poor Michelle had to do. I could never imagine the strength she had to have to go through this of going through the entire process by herself. So
Holy mackerel! When's your son's birthday?
it was actually 6 days ago, March 25th.
So, holy God, everybody, listeners, just soak that in for a second. You're talking March 25th, 2020.
March 25th.
You're working part time in a cheese shop. You're an EMS worker, and your son's born March 25th, 2020.
Mhm.
Okay, say no more.
I'm doing 9-10 cardiac arrests a day at that point.
Oh my! I don't mean to laugh.
No,
Jeez.
laugh. It's the way we get
Oh,
through
man.
it, man.
My goodness gracious.
Henry was a little bit early. Picture the scene, if you will. We've got a fourth floor walk up in Brooklyn. The laundry's in the basement. This is our first kid, and you know what? There was a certain point in there where we both just went, "We got to get the heck out of here, man."
Huh. Right. Like
So
you thought, if it was under normal conditions, it's already challenging to live in New York and doing, just your job, two jobs at this point. So now you throw a pandemic in there with a newborn.
Mhm.
Maybe you're thinking along a different plane now. Okay,
yeah,
you start
exactly.
thinking outside the box, which could involve we may relocate, and I guess that's what you're saying led to that decision.
Exactly. So when we started, we just decided to take a month to get the heck out of here while he grew a little bit. And my mother-in-law lives down here in North Carolina. We were very familiar with the area, and it seemed like a good place to escape to. Once we got down here, we ended up liking it. So as happened with a lot of people during that time, we decided to stay. I was still working in EMS at that point down here. I was a flight medic for UNC, so I was zipping around on helicopters. And when that career sort of came to its natural finish, when we first came down to North Carolina, because I'd enjoyed, I worked in the cheese shop where I'm from in London. There are many wonderful cheese shops. The cheese shop experience was something that we all enjoyed as a family as well. So we were looking for a cheese shop here to go to have that experience, and there just wasn't one. There wasn't one within the entire triangle area of Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. And so it sort of got us to thinking, is it because no one's tried, or is it because that people don't like cheese around here? But where is it that people don't like cheese? Honestly,
Yeah.
There's
Nowhere. Right.
cheese makers
Yeah.
here. And so we decided to take a crack at it on a very small scale and gauge the market for real cheese. When you Google cheese shop here, the first thing that came up was a local market, and then the next thing after that was Whole Foods, and the next thing after that was Harris Teeter. So and God bless them, but you didn't get the full cut to order cheese shop experience.
Yeah.
So we started off at a very, very small scale. My first case, I think, had 6 cheeses in it.
Your first refrigerated cheese case, you mean?
First refrigerated cheese case had 6 cheeses in it.
And where did this? Was it in a brick and mortar? Was it on a pop up? Was it at a farm market?
Excellent question. It was we were doing pop ups. We were doing farmers markets. I remember when we started at Pluck Farm Farmers Market in Mebane, which was run by Steel String Brewery, and Steel String were who we'd done a lot of our pop ups, our original pop ups with. And it was the hottest day of the year. It was like 105 degrees. And I nearly said, I'm not going to do this. Let's not do this. But I got everything in the truck and I got it all over there. And Joe, when you go to Europe and there are the cheese sellers at the market and they set up their tables and they put big piles of cheese all over it, and you have that that one-on-one experience. That's what the original incarnation of the cheese shop essentially was. I had this desktop refrigerator, I suppose, which I muscled into the truck and then out again onto like fold away tables. and like a little portable scale. And like I say, 6 cheeses. That's how we tested the water
Hmm.
uh, with 6 cheeses. And I think most of those 6 cheeses are actually still in my case today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um, do we dare ask what those six are? Or are they from America? From of the variety of geographies? Are they
That was
where?
the other thing I wanted to do was, and what we're still doing today, was have a great variety of European cheeses and a great variety of American cheeses as well. Uh, the American artisan cheese world has just come on in leaps and bounds in recent years. So we're very happy to be able to promote those and get people really excited and into them as well. So yeah, it was sort of half and half at that juncture. Um, and yes, I can. Let me see. I can actually recount them right now.
Uh,
Number one, the Stag uh, cheddar from Deer Creek in Wisconsin, which by the whole cut to order on the wheel is insanely good.
mm,
When you get it pre-packed, I don't know what it is, but and I think this is true of all cheese. Cut to order, the difference between a cut to order piece and a pre-packed piece, they could almost be two different cheeses.
yeah,
Almost be two different
so
cheeses.
true.
Number two was 1605 Manchego. Number three was Gourmino Surchoix.
Okay,
It was
the Gruyere, the Surchoix Gruyere, you mean?
the Surchoix Gruyere, which
Okay,
actually remains to this day my number one selling cheese. I think. Um, I had one called, oh gosh, this is the one that I can't remember the name of now, but it was like a German version of Alp Blossom, a Wildebloom. Wildebloom.
okay.
But I couldn't get it to come in good condition. The flowers always came in kind of icky. I had uh, Brabander, Mimolette 18-month reserve, 18-month veal, and Forme d'Ambert for the blue lovers.
You got like got most of the board covered with that there. I mean,
Right.
for 6 or 7, whatever it is, cheeses there. Uh, yeah, I mean, I think that's a good lesson on one place to start, and some well named cheeses there, some
Yeah,
famous ones.
those are
Um,
the
and
first.
sourcing, I'm sure you had to a lot of that was decided by who can you get cheese from, and I mean that's another whole episode.
Oh
But
yeah.
the what year was that now? So your
Oh,
child was born, and then you do this, and even back up. Tell us what's a pop up in your definition of a pop up. What does that mean
it's
for
almost like
those that might not know?
guerrilla cheesemongering, essentially. You would find a business partner. In our case, it was Steel String, and you would say, "Hey, can I set up a little cheese shop in your uh, bar, restaurant, markets, gas station, whatever the heck it happened to be?"
Who was it again?
So our original, the very first people that we worked with was a brewery down here, a craft brewery called Steel String,
Okay, gotcha. A
and they were
brewery.
in town as we were.
Sounds like a good match. A
Yes,
brewery. Like,
exactly,
yeah. Breweries are
exactly.
great. I noticed all my very advanced musician friends playing in distilleries or breweries these days.
Mm,
Good match for gourmet minds. Who's hanging out at a brewery unless they like the better stuff? But
right,
anyway,
exactly.
I digress. Go ahead. So brewery, you're like a tenant inside their business. That's a pop up. That's what
Right,
pop up means.
exactly. And
Pop
you'll
up
do
doesn't
it
mean at the
for
park. It means in an existing business. That's a caveat probably for most anybody listening. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm learning here
exactly.
too. By the way, I don't pretend to know what a pop up is 100% because I don't.
You might
So
do it for a day, you might do it for a week, you might do it for a couple of weeks, but you are not the leaseholder or the resident there. You haven't signed a lease. You're not paying rent or anything
right,
like.
in a mutually symbiotic relationship. You're bringing a little value to their vibe, and obviously they have a built-in crowd, and then they see you as you're just able to raise the volume, and more people might show up. You might drink more beer at the brewery with your pop up hanging out. Maybe
Exactly,
that's
and
gonna
that
happen.
if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, huh?
That's pretty much exactly what happened. People would come for the cheese, stay for the beer. It turns out that people in this area do like cheese. That's what we managed to gauge in the first year or so of our toe in the waters.
Mm-hmm.
And when we would do a pop up there, like we would sell the case out. People would be coming out, and people were crying out for a cheese shop in this area, because it was something that no one had tried for a very long time. People love cheese, and when we started off, people were very excited and interested in local cheeses. So we did that with the good folks at Chapel Hill Creamery, um, Celebrity Dairy, Boxcar. There's a couple of other cool. Goat Lady is down here as well.
Get the locals.
Yes, exactly.
So it really played into that. Yeah.
Then we found out that the next thing people were interested in was cheeses which, like, they knew the name or the style of, but they hadn't had it up to a really high quality level yet.
Mm-hmm. More like for the category, it could be a new discovery within that category that they might be familiar with.
Exactly. Incredibly good cheddar, incredibly good manchego, incredibly good Gruyere, and that was one of the first things that people would always say is like, "Oh wow, I didn't know it was meant to be like this, or I didn't know it could be like this."
I like when that happens.
Right? Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Every time that makes me laugh or puts a smile on my face.
It keeps the conversation going around these stalwarts, and then it also helps you pivot to something completely new and innovative that is actually a real invention of a recipe with a brand new name from, say, someplace in America or another part of the world.
Yeah.
Stevie, hang out a second. Let's put a pin in that and hear more about what you have going on, what led you to where you are now. If you want to hear about all that's going on now, hang out, everybody. We're here with Stevie Lee Webb from North Carolina, or the cheese shop in North Carolina. Hang out. We'll be right back after this break.
This episode is brought to you by Plugra European-style butter, crafted for those who demand precision and exceptional results in the kitchen. With 82% butter fat and a slow churn process, Plugra gives you flakier crusts, fluffier cakes, and rich, melt-in-your-mouth pastries. Because great baking starts with great butter. Unlike standard American butters, which have only 80% butter fat, Plugra ensures the ideal moisture and fat balance so your recipes turn out just right every time. That's why professional chefs trust Plugra and home bakers love it. Plugra's slow churn process creates a smooth, creamy butter that gives dough a soft, pliable texture, making rolling, folding, and laminating effortless. Whether you're perfecting a buttery pie crust or layering a delicate croissant, Plugra helps you bake with confidence. Experience the difference for yourself. Find Plugra in stores near you or visit Plugra.com. That's Plugra.com.
Okay, cheese friends, we are back with Stevie Lee Webb, co-owner of the soon-to-be-open Wedgwood Cheese Bar in Carrboro, North Carolina. Stevie, you were just telling us about your pop-up experience, which I'm guessing kind of set you up for the next stage. You were talking about the cheese you sold. It was just 6 or 7 cheeses. You did it somewhat at your own discretion. There was no template per se. You did it when opportunity presented that. And then how did you know? How did you go from that to where are you now? What was the next step? I should ask.
So from doing our pop-ups in our markets and things like that, we were sort of the area's nomadic cheese shop. What we did was sort of scaled the business up bit by bit. We added a cheese club in there. We started doing classes. We started doing a few other things. So it was almost like the cheese shop had octopus arms. The one arm would back up the other. And so we were talking about pop-ups being in other places. We were trying to find a way to open a small shop, but not be completely penniless when we were trying to do it. And we ended up partnering with a local restaurant and wine bar and wine shop as well called Glass Half Full. During COVID, they had like a little mercantile up the front which was maybe 80 square feet or so, as COVID wound down their little tiny shop area, wasn't really doing much business anymore. Uh, so we discussed taking that out. We would rent that little bit of floor space from them and put a little shop essentially within their bar and restaurant. So that's exactly what we did.
Uh-huh.
We turned that 80 square feet into a tiny little cheese shop, which was bigger than the market, but smaller than a regular shop. And then we had this sort of the symbiosis, and that's one of the other wonderful things about this area is businesses really, really support each other. So we had this relationship where we would sell cheese. People would come into the restaurant. What's that? People would come in and buy wine. People would come and buy cheese and then wine to go with their cheese. And so we've had that shop running for the past 2 years now.
Mm-hmm. So it's two separate businesses, and so if someone walks in, they're seeing a restaurant, they're expecting a restaurant, and then they discover you, maybe if it's their first time, and then they're like, "Oh, hey, what's going on here?" And then you're it's like it's an impulse for them to come back and either buy something on the spot or come back and visit you on a proper in a proper way. Is that
Right.
kind of like the setup?
And vice versa as well. People would come looking for us as the for the cheese shop, and then
Yeah,
they would go, "Oh, I'm going to stay for a drink and a bite to eat at the restaurant, or I'm going to buy a
yeah,
bottle of wine from their wine shop." So it's been a lovely relationship all the way
yeah, huh?
through. We were
So, and
we were the wrasse fish to their great white.
I like that. So the pop up was 80 square feet, and then this is slightly bigger inside of this existing restaurant bar element. And so then, what year was that? And then where are you now with that?
So that started in March of 22.
Uh
No,
huh.
23, March 23. Um, and as the shop grew and its popularity grew, we realized that we could not do anything else with the space that we had, and it was time to expand then into our own, our genuine own real space. And we had been doing a lot of events. We had a year of doing these again kind of a pop up, but a pop up dinner series, almost like a supper club,
Yeah.
with some very good friends of ours at a local speakeasy cocktail bar, the Beltree,
Uh
who
huh.
remain some of my dearest friends to this day. And the space next to the Beltree was actually for rent, and we looked into it and we thought, oh wow, this is a really cool space. It's inside sort of an old 1950s building with a car wash on one side, and then the Beltree in this empty space on the other. And
Uh huh.
so we signed the lease for that, and we started the build out for our own brand new, very own location.
Soon
Uh,
to be.
soon to be. We are close. It's going to be a
Wow.
photo finish, but we're close.
Yeah, that's always seems like these photo finishes are a thing for these. At least when I watch the reality shows about it. But how big are now? So how big is this place? What's going on here? What's
We've gone
happening
from
in this
80
space?
square feet to about 1,800 square feet, which
1,800. Okay.
which sounds like a lot, but then when you start putting all the things in and looking for storage space and things like that, you suddenly run out of room real quickly.
Yeah. Okay. And now, are we talking? Does this space include? Now, I don't know your state laws. Are you selling wine or beverages?
Currently, in our current space, we're not.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things that we wanted to expand out into with the new spot. So we will be doing wine and beer there, and because we've been doing our dinners with a lot of great chefs in the area. Another very good friend of ours, Paula DePano, owns a wine shop here called Rocks and Acid, She's a level 2 som. She was the sommelier at 11 Madison Park. So
Oh,
she
mackerel! Talk about dropping a name.
so
Okay,
she
now.
did it for us. And so we partnered up on that. So the food and the wine always went amazingly well together. It's like, well, we've got all these good friends. We love this neighborhood. We need to expand. Let's see what we can do. So we've got it's going to be, it's, when we get there, it's going to be awesome.
So that means you're going to have some kind of like, sounds like a pretty, if you got a former som from 11 Madison Park, you have like a pretty serious wine program inside, under one roof is what you're saying.
Exactly. With any luck, you're going to be able to get yourself a good drop of wine there as well to go with your excellent cheeses of the world.
So this means you're sitting down and enjoying. So like you said, I have this right, cheese bar / cheese shop.
Right. Exactly. Half cheese shop, half wine bar with tables, a little kitchen in the back. So we'll be able to do food. We'll be able to do wine. And it's hard to think of somewhere where you could actually go and buy a glass of wine at the bar and then go and stand in front of the cheese case and eat cheese and taste the cheese and then buy some to take home with you and maybe a bottle of whatever you're drinking as well.
I love that idea. I wish we could see more of it. Like I live in New Jersey where this is not allowed. There's all these Byzantine outdated, type laws where every state's different. New York has its own complications, but what I've seen in like even just the restaurants that are so tiny, like there's a lot in Greenwich Village, just these tiny restaurants. They have no space, but yet their wine list is pretty serious, or as the kids would say, their wine list slaps, as the kids would say. I don't know how to use that word the right way. I hope I did.
Is that what they're saying these days?
Yeah, I don't know. The people younger than me say that word. Anyway, but what they do is they keep the inventory is like around you, like you're eating and there's bottles of wine all around you, but like that's the inventory.
And it's going to be the same with the menu as well. All the dishes that we're coming up with, well, of course there will be cheese plates and meat plates, and everyone wants to come in for. Everyone's going to enjoy that, but we'll be doing small plates as well. But we'll be creating dishes on the menu based around or including the cheeses, some of the really, really unique cheeses that are in the case.
Right. Yeah. So this in some way takes, I mean, again, easy for me to say, I'm the outsider, but like it takes some heavy lifting away from where am I going to put all this stuff. You can make it the aesthetic. You could put some of your wine inventory on the floor around people. You have cheese in the case. Could comprise a large part of your inventory, but I guess you need some backstock. But like you're saying, 1,800 square feet gets eaten up pretty quickly, especially when you have, a kitchen that needs to have a 3-basin sink and a hand washing area and bathrooms and employee punch in or changing it. Like before you know it, that's half the square footage.
Nuts! I forgot that. Thanks a lot, Joe. Okay, let me write that.
but I don't want to get you in trouble here. So your wife Michelle is also part of this. So what's her? I want to make sure I'm bringing her up. So what's her role in all this?
So as majority owner,
behind every good man, let's say it. Okay,
there's an even better woman. Exactly.
There you
go. Michelle is a very well versed business person of a great long career. So while I have the nose and the muscle, and I know all about the cheese, she has been instrumental in the actual success of the cheese shop. I always say that if it wasn't for her, it would just be me standing over a big pile of cheese and not knowing what to do with it.
Yeah, I can relate to this, but still, what a team you must make. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's really what I love about it. One of the things I love about it is that we both bring such different skill sets to the table.
That's
from
clutch.
both directions. It slaps.
I can't say it without prefixing it. It doesn't sound right when I say it, but maybe you can get away with it. You're a little younger than me. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So there's heart, there's soul, and there's acumen there as well. So there would not be a cheese shop today without her.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got to say that out loud because I know that's not only authentic and coming from your heart, but that's what our audience wants to know. Because I think when we hear stories about shops how they open, we we are all curious, like because we all want to do it. It's just, on some level we either dream about doing or want to do it, and hearing how someone did it makes it more tangible for independent businesses to reach their dreams. And even something as simple as asking the hypothetical. Maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't, but like, could this have happened in a different, could this have happened in a New York metro? I'm going to guess it would have been much more difficult. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Significantly more difficult. Significantly more difficult.
Yeah.
So that's one of the other things that I count the success down to is the area that we're in now and the support that we've gotten and been able to give to other businesses in the area and the friendships that we've grown and made out of this as well. Would this have worked in London? I don't know that. Certainly, I don't think it would work half as well as it has here.
Yeah.
We got kind of lucky in that we got in here when there wasn't another cheese shop, or there wasn't another cut to order cheese shop. So we were sort of first boots on the ground there, which was also very handy. But I've really loved being able to do it in this area as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's just obviously challenges that you face when you're opening up a shop. There's all these unexpected things, but what we all could say as a community living through the pandemic, no matter what part of the country you're from, has all made us somewhat scrappy, if that's a positive word. Scrappy,
Yes,
meaning
yes.
like you're able to cobble together quick solutions and fix things that are broken on the fly, and work within your means temporarily and buy time. So there had to have been a challenge that popped up, but I'm hoping that the pandemic and all the stresses helps you get through that. But was there one that stands out, like whether the building code didn't match the, I don't know, when because you're still in the middle, you're finishing up building. That's not easy.
Yeah.
And then you're also still running a business while it's happening, or
Yeah, that's it. The cheese shop remains open while Wedgwood is being built out. We ran into just constant difficulties with the building out of Wedgwood. It took us a very long time to get our permits. When you're dealing with states, counties, and towns and local governments, wonderful as they can be, it can be a real slog. So for people who are thinking of this, just bear in mind that it's probably going to take twice as long and cost you twice as much as you thought it was going to.
So that would be almost like your advice for anybody, with keep setting expectations for anybody out there listening. And I know at least there's a couple I have in mind that I know are looking to go from pop-up to brick and mortar. The advice would be maybe to set expectations to double your budget. Is that what you're basically, and time?
I think one of the best pieces of advice that I could give would be don't rush. You don't need to rush. And scale up. Don't go straight into a huge shop. Don't go straight into a big rent or anything like that. Take your pop up and see what else you can do with it. How can you scale that business up, adding other arms to the business, adding an online presence, adding a mail order presence, adding a cheese club, something like that. And then as you grow, you'll be able to see where the needs are being met and where they aren't being met until you finally do get into that brick and mortar. It doesn't need to be 5,000 square feet. to kick off with. Start small and work your way up.
Yeah. So scale, and I'll use the word squirrel, like a verb, scale and squirrel away. Also,
Squirrel.
Would it be your resources? Is that pretty clutch part of that scale part? Is that you want to?
Absolutely. There's a New Jersey accent there as well.
Oh, right. Squirrel. That's right. How do you say squirrel?
Squirrel.
It's like two syllables. I make it like one. Squirrel.
Yeah.
You say, what is it?
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing a.
You're trying to, yeah. Well, you got a little Metro New York on you a little bit there too. You did hang out. You were here. Oh man. Squirrel. You ever seen the movie Up?
Yes.
Squirrel. Obviously, an American-made movie. Squirrel. Anyway. But so listeners, you'll want to scale and squirrel away your resources and listen to some hopefully draw some inspiration from some words from the one and only Stevie Lee Webb. Stevie, we're kind of running out of time here, man. I gotta if you want to have like a last word on something you're most excited, like what task or thing are you looking forward to when your shop opens, whether it's just opening your first piece of this or a bottle of that, or what is it? Is there something in your mind you're seeing yourself do near opening time, first busy weekend? Like, what is it? Something we can close with.
I will be absolutely honest here. The thing that I am looking forward to most as a business owner is getting back behind the counter and back behind the bar and doing the things that I love, which is talking to people about cheese and drinks and food and making sure that they have an experience to take home with them.
There's that word again. I love it. Experience. That's what we're all really living for, aren't we? I think that's the word right there, because you could apply that to so many things. Really, your family, your life, food. It's all the same for me. That word is the common denominator. And I think our listeners that should resonate with them. I hope they take that with them after listening to your episode.
Thank you so much, Joe. It has been. Thank you very much for having me on. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, Stevie, I can't wait to see you in person, whether it's in the Metro or at the ACS or down your way. But thank you so much for joining me today on Cutting the Curd. Talk about your great work there in the cheese world for your new brick and mortar Wedgwood Cheese Shop in Carrboro, North Carolina.
Genuinely my pleasure, sir. Thank you very much.
Right on. Okay, listeners. Well, you can follow Stevie Lee Webb on Instagram at the_Stevemonger and the new cheese shop in Wedgwood Cheese Bar at Cheese Shop NC. And be sure to follow us on Instagram at Cutting the Curd and Heritage Radio Network at Heritage_Radio, and me at Sting Chef. Please hit the subscribe button for Cutting the Curd on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you enjoy the Cutting the Curd podcast, please give us a glowing 5-star review. It really helps us grow our audience. All right, thanks again, everyone. And remember, if you love someone, send them cheese.
Cutting the Curd is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.